Folks, welcome back to the Wanneroo channel. Hope y'all are doing great. Thank you for tuning in, and we have today part 3 of a project that we started back earlier in the summertime, and it was very successful right from the get-go. These 147 grain spear bullets, 9mm with tight group powder, CCI primers, you know, right out of the box pretty much with the load we started with. It just did a phenomenal job. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And so what kind of came up with this was, just got kind of busy with summer and was kind of thinking about, is there another angle that we could take to this? Because the project was one of the, sometimes with reloading, some projects, they just take a while and you have to work on them a while to get everything kind of fine-tuned. And this one was pretty much good to go out of the box. And so I was kind of thinking, well, where can we take this? What can we do? And well, I was at the gun store and they actually had primers, and I was like, wow. So I'd been following things online, and definitely supplies have been improving on primers, and also too, prices have gradually been coming down from the absolutely ridiculous, insane $100 per thousand compared to the usual $30 to $35 per thousand. Just the absolute rip. And, it's been pretty crazy like that ever since COVID Con kicked off. And so, with this, I happened to see that these Remington primers were out there. And I know from before with Remington, they were one of the big suppliers of primers. But, I'd always been using CCI. And CCI, they work great. I also have some experience using S&B primers. And the thing with the S&B primers is they do not feed well in the Hornady progressive press, and so that was one issue with them. Remington now, of course, got broken up through a bankruptcy, whatever that whole shebang was, and it's been sold off in parts to various different companies. And I had heard that they were back making primers, and it started to see them turning up online. And then going in to pick up something at the gun store, they happen to have these. So it's like, well, let's go ahead and try these out and see how they compare with CCI primers. This is something I'm just kind of curious to see. Are we going to get the same basically velocity out of these? Are they going to feed well in Hornady progressive press? What's the difference? Is there a difference? I don't know. So that's why I want to do this and just do a comparison. We are going to keep the powder charge exactly the same. So everything is going to be totally the same. I can't remember our overall length, but basically all the metrics, I've not changed the press one bit. We are going to keep everything exactly as it was, and we will compare. Now, maybe the only difference is maybe the temperature will be, let's see, when did we do that? Probably the temperature should be about the same. So I can't think of too many other different variables at play other than these primers. So, it's something I'm curious to see because, well, if these are viable and they work well and I don't have any problems with them and they basically approximate what CCI does, then we can throw these in the mix in the future as a viable backup option for our CCI primers, which always work great for me. So what we're going to do is, first thing is get these on the progressive press and actually see how they feed, because that's going to be one issue where if these don't feed well on the progressive press, it's not going to be a big help to me. So as long as they feed well, that'll be the first thing. Then we're going to go up to the range. We're going to go ahead and do our testing with our chronograph, and then also too, we will go ahead and just do a little bit of accuracy testing. And yeah, it's going to be kind of fun and curious to see how this is all going to turn out. All right, folks, so here we are on the press, and so far everything is going good. There's one of our primers that we just seated, one of these Remington primers. And one of the big things that I was really looking for with this was to ensure that they fed well through the primer tube here, and there were no problems at all with seating. This is a major issue that I had with the S&B primers, getting them to feed down through this tube in here and not jamming up or causing any problems. And so far the Remingtons have been functioning just like the CCI primers do, so that's good. Powder charge is exactly the same as the previous video, so we're staying with the same powder charge. So it'll be absolutely duplicate in every way except for the primers themselves. So that will be the only difference. Everything is looking good. Just double checking my work. But yeah, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go up to the range, and we're actually going to go ahead and chrono. I need to pull up the old data from the last video so we can compare. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and we'll probably shoot about 10 through the chrono, and then we'll just do some accuracy testing and kind of see how it all works out. Also too, just to see how the function is, and it'll be interesting to see if there's any differences, or you know, if the differences are just minor and you could almost just say random, or there's going to be major differences. So I'm curious to see. Folks, so here we are at the range today, and finally a lot of this nasty rain has cleared out. So we've got a bunch of our 147 grain spear bullets loaded up with 3.3 grains of tight group, same load that we had before, except for we have the Remington primers. So that's what we'll be testing out here. We have our data from the previous video, so we'll be able to compare that and see if there's any significant difference there. We'll also just do a little quick accuracy test, and then also we'll shoot it a bit on steel as well. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. If there's any malfunctions, issues, different data, it's going to be interesting to see. All right. All right, folks, so we'll go ahead and shoot 10 rounds through. And we've already shot a string to check for function. And also, too, we're doing a review at the same time here of this lighting kit for the Pro Chrono chronograph. So stay tuned for that to drop. Keep your eyes out for that. And yeah, let's go ahead and put 10 rounds through and see how we go. We'll give you a better view there. There we go. All right, there we go, 10 rounds. All right, folks, so we went ahead and completed our test with the Remington small pistol primers, comparing them to the CCI primers. Everything here with our load was exactly the same, except for that we used Remington instead of CCI primers. First time using these primers, so it was an interesting little test to kind of compare the two. And so let's take a look at the data and see what we got. Here's our data here from the, we have the data from the previous video when we shot CCI primers. So we had a 939, 949, 945, 922, 961, 944, 941, 920, 926, 917. We had an average of 936 feet per second. We had a spread of 44 feet per second, a standard deviation of 14 feet per second, and we had a power factor of 137, okay? And so today, whenever we shot the Remington, we had 913, 934, 921, 962, 927, 909, 937, 956, 950, 937. We had an average of 934 feet per second, a spread of 53 feet per second, and we had a standard deviation of 17 feet per second with a power factor of 137. So, in terms of comparing the two together, not much of a difference between the two. We pretty much had about a 2 foot per second difference, the CCI being 2 feet per second faster on average. A little bit of a tighter spread and a little bit of a tighter deviation there compared to the Remington. So I would say overall pretty much comes down to a hair. It's not a lot. I would say almost just about identical. But yes, the CCI just slightly tighter and just slightly faster. Now let's take a look at some of the accuracy here. All right, now we shot this from 20 yards, which was pretty much about the same as I recall that we did last time. So the only thing that I saw here was we ended up a little bit to the left. So now keep in mind this is at 20 yards. So I would say first off, all of our shots here, as far as I can see, I think pretty much everything, maybe we're missing one, or maybe we had one go through the center there. As far as I recall, we did 10 shots. So we had one little flyer out here, and then we had our main group over here. And then we had one that's dead center on the 0. So for some reason I was shooting to the left, don't know why. Or that's just the way the cookie crumbled in terms of, what the rounds and bullets were going to do. But pretty tight group. So pretty much just over an inch with all of these shots. And also we are in the 0. So if you shoot this at an IDPA or something similar to USPSA match from 20 yards and your time is good, you're going to be very competitive. So I would say overall pretty happy with the accuracy there. We'd have to kind of figure out what's going on with kind of shooting to the left. I don't remember doing that on the last video with the CCI, but I could be wrong. Haven't looked at that for a little bit, so it'd be interesting to compare that. But basically, I'm pretty happy with that group overall. All right, folks, so let's go ahead and wind it up. What do we think with these Remington primers? Well, I would say overall, I'm pretty happy with them. They fed well through the progressive press. No problems at all with that. They shot fine, did not have any issues, any hang-ups, anything like that. I would say everything in terms of accuracy was good. And then also, too, in terms of our results comparing them to CCI, pretty close, pretty close. I don't think you can probably get much closer. CCI probably beats it out slightly, and probably in the future, I'd continue to buy CCI all the time. But if it came down to using these Remington primers, definitely don't see any issues at all with using them. And I would certainly buy them again, no question about it. So pretty happy with them overall. So in the end, hopefully y'all enjoyed that and got a little bit out of it, and got to see some different results there with different primers to see if that makes a difference at all. In this case with Remington and CCI. And not much, not a whole lot. And we're going to go ahead and continue to load up more of these 147 grain spear bullets. Probably I'm going to do about 1,000 of them or so. Then we will go ahead and figure out what our next 9mm project will be. And yeah, we'll kind of see what that is going to be. Got a lot of options, definitely. So stay tuned, folks, to the channel. We have a lot of stuff coming up on the channel. All sorts of projects that we're going to be running into starting here in the fall, all the way into the winter, as long as many other videos. So stay tuned and make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.